Severe weather will continue today on parts of the Midwest and all the way down into central Texas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Illinois, and even into the Northeast with up strong tornadoes, EF2, and up 2 to 3 inch hail and winds around 60 miles per hour today. Today's forecast, we'll go over all these parameters as well as discuss the severe outlook for tomorrow next. So for today, we got a large risk here of severe weather, right? I mean, we just got this huge area going from all the way from southern Texas into Oklahoma, Missouri, Illinois, Iowa here. I mean, just crazy um, spatial coverage here. And up into Iowa and Chicago area, Milwaukee, Oshkosh, Wisconsin, we have this enhanced risk as well. And we have another risk centered up here of a slight risk for what looks like high winds risk up here in New York, Massachusetts, Vermont, parts of northern New Jersey, northeastern Pennsylvania, with a large marginal risk all the way up into Maine here and just to the south here. So for tornado risk today, you can see where the highest tornado risk is centered as far as spatial coverage goes, right? Chicago area, Milwaukee, down back towards Mason City, Iowa, Des Moines, anywhere in the hashed area, the expectation is reasonable expectation of EF2 tornadoes. And also along the southern portion of this area, you have this marginal to 5% risk of tornadoes in the brown, right? But with a northern extension of this into the marginal threat. So the greatest spatial coverage is in the yellow area here, right? But we have a larger area here where we could have somewhat weaker tornadoes, although less spatial coverage, all right? Now, moving on to the hail risk, a pretty large hail risk here, and anywhere in the hashed area, the expectation is that you could have up to 2 inch hail or larger, reasonably expected, with the greatest coverage in the red area here, right? Areas outside this the hashed area, you would expect 1 inch hail. Although it can't rule out 2 inch hailstones here, still that possibility exists today. All right, so this forecast will be refined, and there'll be another update around 8 a.m. Eastern this morning. They may change some of the parameters here, but this is the threat right now. Like I said, the greatest spatial coverage here is in parts of Wisconsin and Iowa, generally where that highest tornado coverage is as well. Now here's the wind risk. We have a large wind risk here with that slight risk centered up here into the northeast. Not expecting real extreme winds here, 50 knots or so, which is around 58 miles per hour, with the greatest spatial coverage in these slight areas today. Going in tomorrow, we still have. It's been a long stretch of severe weather, guys. We got this slight risk again in the same area, generally the same areas, right? And the risk also stretches back into Pennsylvania as well, into Pennsylvania, Ohio. Definitely a short wave or MCS maybe moving through this area tomorrow, and also along a boundary that sets up here in the central to Midwestern United States, with a larger marginal risk going all the way up towards New York, Ohio, Indiana, Arkansas, and Texas here. Large area here. Here's your overall hail risk, and a little bit goes off the screen, but you can see, I'm sorry, this is tornado risk, my apologies, for tomorrow. The highest tornado risk is down here, centered on Oklahoma City, generally Lawton, Wichita Falls, most of central Oklahoma, north central and south central Oklahoma, and a small area surrounding that. The expectation is maybe up to EF2 tornadoes, but not a lot of spatial coverage here, 5% chance. So Not a super high risk, but if one does hit your area, of course, that's important, right? Here's your hail risk for tomorrow, still centered on the southern mode of this severe threat, and generally the same area where the most significant tornadoes coverage would be, right, and intensity. With a larger, this is a up to 2-inch hail, right, and a larger area, a slight risk and marginal risk going all the way up into Pennsylvania, Ohio, and surrounding areas here, Missouri. I'm not going to call it all the town names here, but you can see how large the spatial coverage is here. And here's your wind risk, and this is what's kind of driving the overall, what you would say, categorical risk, right? You can see the large slight risk all the way from parts of northern Texas into southern Wisconsin, and another area here in Pennsylvania and Ohio, right? So the expectation is 50-knot winds in this area are possible. Of course, you never know. You may have some winds that are higher, but this is the expectation right now. And moving into Thursday, right? We still have a severe threat moving further east with a marginal risk generally from Detroit down to parts of Tennessee, northwestern Tennessee, parts of Missouri through Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, Cleveland. So not as much intensity as far as coverage goes tomorrow. I mean, Wednesday, excuse me. My days all running together here. But we'll have to see how this threat evolves in the coming days and see how they refine this. It's just an overall marginal threat right now for Thursday. So to start off with, let's look at the 925 millibar vorticity here. This is close to the surface, right? This is starting at 11 a.m. So you have looks like a surface low here in parts of Topeka, around the Topeka, Kansas area, Omaha, Nebraska. Another one up to the north here, right? This surface low generally moves to the northeast here, and you have a mid-level wave that's going to be reinforcing the surface low as it moves through the upper Midwest today, which is where our biggest severe threat is, right? Look at the severe threat for today. Right, there it is. So, and you also have some enhancement of vorticity up here in the northeast as well. And you can see just some general perturbations in the flow all along this boundary here where the severe threat is today, okay? We take this off, we look at this again. You can see a slight enhanced risk and slight risk up here, large severe threat area encompassing where the boundary sets up down here and different vorticity is involved with this, right? And surface high pressure firmly in place here in the southeast, moisture streaming northward, right? And heavy rainfall as well. So, all right, take the overlay off here. Now this is at 8 p.m., right? So now let's switch over to the radar and see what it looks like here. So centered on the the northern severe threat here, right, in the Midwest. So 3 p.m., 4 p.m., it looks like down here you have the potential for some rotating storms as well down here in Indianapolis area, right? Columbus, Ohio, um, Indiana as well, right? And maybe with a surface low moving to the east and southeast here on the southern extent of this, you got some rotating storms as well. So we'll see how this plays out today, but this is early this afternoon. Okay, so I was going to show you the Midwest, but I saw these rotating storms here. This is HRRR. This isn't, exactly what's going to happen, right? So we go back to the Midwest. 3, 4, 5. You see, boom, storms, fire here. Madison, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, to the north of Chicago here. And you move over to the northeast, you have these storms firing all along this area, this corridor here, all right? So back to the Midwest, 7, 8. These storms kind of congeal into MCS kind of structure here. down, and move over the Great Lakes and form more of a line here, right? And these storms to the northeast eventually move offshore in the evening hours. This is more of a early evening event, right? And the storms kind of move to the east here, not as severe to start with. And we move down to the southern part of this here. All right, go back to the around 1 p.m. Okay, so we're in the southern mode of this area. 3, 4, 5 storms are firing along this line here. Looks like a dry line type setup here. If we look at the the dew points, you see a sharp dew point cut off here. So this is likely where the dry line is, surface low up here, right? So pretty dry air right behind it. Pretty defined moisture gradient here. So if this can set up and you get some stuff forming along the line here, definitely severe weather possible today. Centered more on the southern mode here. Okay, so this is 7 p.m. More of a line linear type mode here, but if some storms can be discrete to start with, like here in the southern Texas, as they move to the north, we could have some tornadic potential here, but likely wind and hail threat. But in this area, we can see, go back to the tornado threat. Here's your greatest tornado threat as well. So to see what we're talking about here and why this greatest tornado threat is in this area also. Although you can't rule out tornadoes anywhere in this area. So going into tomorrow, what's a future radar going to look like? Let's look at that real quickly. And here's your overall severe risk, just as a reminder. This is 9 p.m., 10 p.m. Storms move to the east here with an MCS, and maybe some other MCS type features moving to the northeast here. 5 a.m., 6 a.m. Storms firing again in the southern mode, and some more rotating storms here in the afternoon. And then you have some more storms up here into the Midwest. You see the refiring of storms on the back side of this where a severe threat is, right? Go back to this severe threat. You see right here where it is. So that's why we have a slight risk in those areas here. Into tomorrow, 7, 8, 9 p.m. See the southern mode of this really has some indication, especially if we get rotating supercells in the southern part of this, right on the south edge of this line, where you have some unimpeded inflow. Could have some tornadic supercells firing here, and some other rotating storms up here in the northern mode, and maybe some storms up here in the mid-Atlantic as well. These generally congeal into a line, more just nebulous kind of storms here. Maybe some severe weather still in the overnight hours, but likely waning as the boundary layer kind of we get some capping at the boundary layer, and the storms weaken a bit overnight. That's all I got tonight and tomorrow, guys. A long-winded thing here today, but I want to get this out, and hopefully y'all are staying safe out there. And maybe into the weekend, we're going to get a brief break from the severe weather. I sure hope so, for your sake and mine. Hope you're safe out there. Love y'all. God bless.